my Lord. For your blessings, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord.
Our next speaker for the day is Gbiepit Raimatou Mboutngam.
Chief jury, members of jury, invited guests, fellow colleagues, good morning. Good morning. We shall be listening to a presentation on a research carried out on the prevalence of bacterial arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis in patients presenting with arthritis visiting the St. Elizabeth Catholic General Hospital and Cardiac Center, Chisholm. A dissertation submitted in partial fulfillment of the requirement for the award of a diploma in medical laboratory technology, presented by Gbiepit Mboutngam Raimatou, and this work was supervised by Sister Lilia Limungache. My presentation will follow this outline. Abstract. The aim of this study was to identify the link between rheumatoid factor and ASLO in patients presenting with arthritis. And this study was a hospital and laboratory-based study. 101 clients participated in this study. I have 6 positive patients for rheumatoid factor and 4 positive patients for ASLO. That gave me a percentage prevalence of 5.94% for rheumatoid factor and 3.96% for ASLO. Nobody presented with both rheumatoid factor and ASLO positive during my study. Introduction. What is arthritis? Arthritis is a medical condition where there is inflammation of one or more joints, resulting in pain and swelling with restricted joint movement. Arthritis can be acute or chronic. My objectives were to identify the risk factor associated with arthritis, identify the age group at high risk of arthritis, evaluate the prevalence of arthritis based on gender, and lastly, identify the link between rheumatoid factor and ASLO. My hypothesis. My research question was that, is there any link between rheumatoid factor and ASLO in patients presenting with arthritis? My null hypothesis. There is no significant difference in the prevalence of rheumatoid arthritis and bacterial arthritis in patients presenting with arthritis. My alternate was, there is a significant difference in the prevalence of rheumatoid arthritis and bacterial arthritis in patients presenting with arthritis. Methodology. This study was carried out from April to June 2012, and it was a hospital and laboratory-based study, as I earlier said. My study population involved all patients presenting with arthritis attending the St. Elizabeth Catholic General Hospital, and I had 101 participants. Methodology. An authorization letter was obtained from the matron of St. Elizabeth Catholic General Hospital, Chisholm, from the director of Catholic School of Health Sciences. An informed consent was issued to each participant. Venous blood collection. Venous blood was the specimen used to diagnose arthritis. Table and histogram were used to analyze my data, and then chi-square and z-score tests were used to interpret the results. Arthritis was diagnosed using the rheumatoid factor test and the ASLO test. And the principle was based on the qualitative and semi-quantitative detection of rheumatoid factor and ASLO in human serum. Here we have the diagnostic scheme. What I used to diagnose arthritis. Individual with ASLO positive was considered to have ASLO titer in the serum greater or equal to 200 international units per ml. An individual positive for rheumatoid factor was considered to have rheumatoid factor antibody titer in the serum greater or equal to 8 international units per ml. In as much as we can use these two methods to diagnose arthritis, it has some limitation. Rheumatoid factor and ASLO has been observed associated to systemic lupus erythematosus, some infectious disease like tuberculosis, liver disease, syphilis, hepatitis. Rheumatoid factor can also be present in healthy individuals without the disease. Here, this histogram represents the frequency distribution of age of participants. Here, my study population was normally distributed around the mean, with the mean age 46.78, standard deviation 14.62. Interpretation of result. Here we have the histogram of prevalence of positive cases of rheumatoid factor and ASLO based on gender. After statistical testing, using the chi-square independent test and 95% confidence interval, there was no significant difference in the prevalence of arthritis based on gender. And this agrees with a research carried out by Raimatou in 2005, who found that there was no significant difference in the prevalence of arthritis based on gender. Here we have the histogram of prevalence of positive rheumatoid factor and ASLO based on age group. Here, individuals less than 25 years old, I did not find any positive cases in people less than 25 years. But individual greater than 25 years old has a prevalence of 6% for rheumatoid factor and 4% for ASLO. After chi-square calculation, no prevalence was observed in participants younger than 25 years. Here also, I interpreted the result based on some risk factors associated with arthritis, like alcohol consumption and smokers. Here, after statistical testing using the Z-score test at 95% confidence interval, no significant difference in the prevalence of arthritis among alcohol consumers and smokers. Conclusion. Adults within the age group 30 years and above are more likely to have arthritis. Alcohol consumption and smoking are attributable risk factors for arthritis, though not statistically significant. Recommendation. After this study, it is worth recommending that rheumatoid factor should be done on all elderly people presenting with joint pain. Another research could be carried out with individuals who are positive for rheumatoid factor and for rheumatoid arthritis and bacterial arthritis to find out if there is a link between rheumatoid factor and ASLO. Acknowledgement. I acknowledge God for the gift of life, good health and strength throughout my studies, my supervisor, Sister Lilian Ibungache, the director and vice directress of Kali School of Health Sciences, the entire laboratory staff for knowledge, without forgetting the nursing staff, my parents for encouragement and support, my colleague for collaboration, Tamufo Wara in Lab 1 for typing my work, Abubakar, Francine, Aristide, Amadou. I thank them for their care, dedication. I dedicate this piece of work to God Almighty, to my parents, Mr. Mboutngam Seydou and wife, Madame Zie Asana, to my uncle, Mr. Foga Mama, my dearest sisters and brothers and friends, my dormitory mates and my classmates. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Raimatou, for the presentation. And as she rightly said from the beginning, our main aim was to find out if there is a link between anti-streptolysin or or infection or antistreptolysin or an rheumatoid factor. And the reason being that times when people cry for joint pains and go to the hospital, one of the tests may be prescribed without the other. So I wanted to see if one of the tests could diagnose, even if the other is not present, or there was that, or they needed to be prescribed the two at the same time. That was the main motivation for the research. Thank you very much, and we are welcome, open for questions.
Madam Gbiepit Mboutngam Raimatou.
Yes, sir.
Your research was wow. I enjoyed it. And now I have some questions for you. Please, can you flip to where she diagnosed the two conditions? Yes, go back. Here, you say that antibody titers must be greater than or less than, greater than or equal to 200 international units per ml before you can say that the individual is ASLO positive.
Yes, sir.
So did you take into consideration those individuals that were presenting with arthritis that had antibody titers less than this particular concentration that you're indicating?
Thank you very much, sir. Normally, individuals who presented with arthritis with antistreptolysin O less than 200 international units per ml, when carry out the research, if the person is less than 200 international units per ml, you will not see visible agglutination. The titer should be greater or equal to 200 international units per ml before you can see visible agglutination.
Which you are therefore indicating that this research is in a way limiting, because there can be individuals who are presenting with arthritis, but the antibody titers have not yet arrived at this level.
Yes,
and you are not able to diagnose.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Let me say something in that case. Normally, when a manufacturer manufactures a product, he gives his own value for that product. Just as I was saying, that if you want to say the ASC level, the number depends on the particular kit you are using. For one kit, it may be up to 16, depending on the reagent as the manufacturer has made it. For other kit, it may be up to 35. So the manufacturer gives the instruction that shows it that the result is significant on them. So according to this one, the manufacturer said that for it to be significant, that somebody actually has arthritis, then it should be greater than or equal to 200, and that's how he has manufactured the product. So the ranges depends on the manufacturer's product.
Okay.
And they vary from one manufacturer to another.
All right. Now, there is this other question. You are incriminating those of us who are smokers that shouldn't be smoking because it will lead to arthritis. Is that so?
Yes, sir.
So I want to find out, why should I not smoke?
After doing some literature review, I found that cigarette is only a component that leads to arthritis, nicotine, but they did not give the mechanism of action of nicotine leading to arthritis.
Okay. So it is the nicotine that is found in cigarettes that can lead to arthritis.
Yes.
Which means that we are stipulating that some other research should be carried out to find out the mechanism of action for nicotine leading to arthritis. All right. Now, there is this issue of individuals that are sick with maybe or that are harboring malaria parasitemias that are equal to presenting with joint pains. So how can you be able to actually diagnose a joint pain from malaria parasitemia from that of arthritis?
Arthritis, thank you for your question, sir. Arthritis has signs and symptoms.
Yeah.
Like swelling, redness of the knee, restricted movement. Meanwhile, in malaria, you can still have joint pain and then you are moving. Then joint pain in malaria is as a result of malaria parasitemia. Meanwhile, in arthritis can be caused by your own immunity. That's what I can say.
Raimatou, just to make it clear, there is a characteristic pathology in rheumatoid arthritis. And when you look at the history, you can be able to differentiate the two.
All right, that will be okay. That will be okay by me. Sis.
Okay. You did say in people less than 25 years of age, you didn't find people with arthritis. So I wish to find out if it means that as people are aging, then that is if age is a risk factor for arthritis.
Thank you for your question, sir. After carrying out my study, I discovered that individuals above 25 years old, they were more prone to arthritis because all my positive cases fell in the range from 25 years and above. And maybe it might be by chance that people that came to the hospital that were less than 25 years, they were not presenting with arthritis, they were not having rheumatoid factor and also positive.
Do you work with patients or with clients?
I work with clients and patients.
Okay,
Madam, what did you consider to be a client and what did you consider to be a patient?
The person I consider to be a patient is somebody that is already somebody that is hospitalized is already a patient. Or somebody that presents with sign and symptom of a disease is already a patient.
Because in my knowledge in research methodology, what is happening is that you don't even use the word patient when you're talking about research. Because you are still about to bring out the findings. So you shouldn't call them patients. They are either participants or subjects. Not even clients.
Okay, the next question. I want us to use the slide agglutination test. Could you please distinguish between the slide agglutination test and the precipitation test?
Thank you for the question, sir. For the agglutination test, let me explain the patient sample. For example, when I was using agglutination test, observing for agglutination. Agglutination is let's say aggregation. Since it was an antibody test, it was an antibody test. There is antibody antigen reaction for agglutination test. Then precipitation, when you do precipitation test, you see a precipitate, just like a dot mark with a clear zone around the test circle for the precipitate test.
Let me explain something about that. Actually, agglutination involves the use of particulate antigens. That way, the antigen used is in the form of particles. Whereas precipitation uses soluble antigens. In this test, the antigens used was particulate, it was not soluble. Therefore, it was an agglutination test and not a precipitation test.
Madam Gbiepit, that was a good presentation. Yeah, I just have a particular word with the topic and the content. Because when you say bacterial arthritis, then I'm forced to think of other bacterial pathogens. I think that topic should have been streptococcal arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, according to the content. Because I'm working with ASLO and RF. So it would have been streptococcal arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Because when you say bacterial arthritis, I'm forced to think of Neisseria specifica cause arthritis. I'm forced to think of tuberculosis. That's sorry. Is it Mycobacterium tuberculosis that cause tuberculosis arthritis and all the like. So that topic particularly should have been streptococcal arthritis. Yes, precisely, and rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, now you said to work with blood, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to verify. Which other specimen particularly could you use for this particular investigation, especially for ASLO? Apart from blood. Your choice was blood. So which other specimen could you use for the investigation?
Synovial fluid.
Synovial fluid. And what do you do with the synovial fluid?
Synovial fluid, you can do a gram stain. A gram stain with the synovial fluid. Or fluid analysis by counting the number of WBC.
So what would be expected? Okay, the expected result with that in the gram stain you observe.
In the gram stain, maybe in the gram stain, maybe it's possible to see cocaine in the gram stain. That's what I do.
Okay. Now I'm just like, now with that, what we also do is that since we are investigating the presence of anti-streptolysin O, which surely should be from a streptococci, and no other streptococci precisely except that's the main streptococci, not coining it as no other streptococci. The strep pyogenes, normally if you collect the synovial fluid, you are supposed to be cultured. Normally. Because the organism, particularly from the bacterial stage, apart from the anti-streptolysin being released, the organism particularly will also be present in synovial fluid. So when you do the culture, you actually find the organisms that basically will not grow on maconchi agar, will grow very well on blood agar, and you find beta hemolysis and the like. So with that way you do the gram, you find gram-positive cocci that are in genes. So it is true that in the investigation it is anti-streptolysin O, but the streptococci itself will also be found in those particular areas presenting with swelling. So if you aspirate synovial fluids and you do the culture, you should also be able to target the organism indirectly. But when you work with the blood stage, it's actually a bit more sensitive as compared to culture, because culture is a bit more demanding. Yeah, that's it.
Any questions from the floor?
Excuse me. There's something I want you to ask her. And she has ASLO. Yes, that's what she told me. Then I'm just coming from the hospital, my brother, they told me I get ASLO. So I was like wondering, if you were to be in my position at that particular point, what advice were you going to give to that woman? And what would you be telling her?
Thank you very much, the woman that is, she's affected, she's having a bacterial infection. She's having the bacterial infection and she has to follow up treatment.
Okay, because she's a woman. I am the one.
Then I will tell you to, I'll advise you to go to take the treatment that the doctor gave you to treat.
When I say I'm mean that I am enlightened also.
Yes.
You mean that you will talk to us, to me, as if you are talking to someone who is enlightened.
So I will tell you that ASLO is produced as a result of streptolysin O, the release of streptolysin O by group A beta hemolytic streptococci.
Yes.
Liaison between rheumatoid factor and bacteriatritis. Someone bring about. Is it the language barrier? Oh, what do you need to say? Someone bring about.
Yes, I just wanted to chip in this comment. I think your presentation was excellent. Putting the background language issue, you did an excellent job. But when you look at your write-up, seemingly you did not read through after it was typed. And I think you people had a lot of time to read and do the corrections. Yes. And the mastery of your work was there, but where you had results and conclusion, somewhere. results. Yes, results and discussion. The first diagram. Can you go to the first diagram there? No. Yes, this one. How do you call this presentation?
This is the frequency distribution of age of participants.
No. How do you call that picture?
This picture. It's a histogram.
Bar chart.
It's a bar chart.
As you presented in your topic, like Mr. Elvis already did the correction, but I would have loved to find out from you if you found anything in relation with rheumatic fever and rheumatoid arthritis. Any relationship? Did you read anything like that during your literature review?
Yes, I read something about rheumatic fever. It's also a type of arthritis.
No, it can lead to.
It can lead to.
Yes. No, the fever leads to arthritis because the fever comes first, and if it is not treated, it leads to arthritis. Then I can't remember, but afterwards you did a good job.
Any questions from the floor? Questions from the floor? Yes. Oh.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. If I followed well, you mentioned as one of your objectives that you wanted to find out whether there is a relationship between ASLO and rheumatoid fever and rheumatoid factor. Pardon? And then towards the end, as one of your recommendations, you recommended that a similar study should be carried out to find out if there is a relationship between ASLO and rheumatoid factor. Does it mean you did not meet up with the objective?
Thank you for your question. Research, I discovered that nobody presented with both rheumatoid factor and ASLO, and and maybe the time for the research was relatively short. I could not make up with the liaison between rheumatoid factor and ASLO, and maybe it might have been by chance that people that came to the hospital during that period, they were not positive for rheumatoid factor and ASLO. That's why in my recommendation, I said a similar study should be carried out with a large sample size to see whether there is a link between rheumatoid factor and ASLO.
I think in the real sense, you must not always come out with a conclusive conclusion about your research. Because when you find out things and you don't report as they are, you are falsifying the research project. So if she says like this, and it is that she did not get to the root of her objective, it is still okay. A research does not necessarily mean that it should bring out a positive conclusion.
Any other question? Yes, if I have. So we have come to the end of our research presentation. But before we leave, we'll get a word from Mr. Cho, and after that, Uncle Doc will give us our closing remarks.
Good morning. I wish to say that for these students, as one who initiated and into research, I've been learning a lot. And I want to thank all of you for these lessons you've been teaching me. I think the only thing we need where you want to learn. You must appetite time, sit down, exercise patience, and learn. One of the objectives of the meeting is to grasp the basics of research before you graduate from it. But then, as students representing, I have these points and I wish I would clarify them clearly. This is no longer for them because they are done. They are already on the other side of the river as far as research in school is concerned. They may only participate subsequently, maybe as workers in the hospital or elsewhere. But then, for those who are staying behind, we wish that you take note of the following points. In the whole research process, from proposal design right up to presentation of results before a constituted jury like this one. For you to present very well, you are supposed to have a good language power. The language power will enable you not just in your presentation, but from your proposal write-up right up to the presentation of your work in terms of slides and in terms of write-ups like this. At this juncture, I will say that anybody whose English or whose language power at this point in time is still shaking should, within the long-term holiday, make it a point of duty to learn it. I'm saying so because when I was going through the intention reports of lab 2, what I was finding in it was well-constructed PG. We can laugh, but it's good I say it in the open so that we know. I want to appraise the Francophones very much. Where's Abubakar? Yes, this is somebody who tells an Anglophone student that I will be your English language teacher. So watch out. I'm not saying watch out to you, I'm saying watch out to those who have allowed PG to spoil their language power. It affects me also. And so I should caution you against that. Then in presentation, once you are before the jury, you don't need to panic. I remember I told the lab 3 students, but some of them were still panicking. I don't know why. I don't know what you would have done if you was entering here and saw the Minister of State for Public Health seated here. Maybe you just tell your friends that I don't bad. You will not even talk again, your head will just dry. Once you have your material in you, you don't have to panic. You don't have to fear. And the source of panicking is as a result of the fact that we do not organize or constitute ourselves very much to do our work very well. And that is why we panic. And then the third aspect that I also noticed was the issue of questioning. We expected questions and real mature questions from the floor. The questions did come, but they didn't come as we expected. And to an extent, I think the chief of jury was asking whether we are here for friendship. We are here to learn, and if you really want to learn, you have to ask questions. And to learn, learning is just by observation. You observe with your eyes, with your tongue, or with your ears, and then the brain synchronizes and selects what to stop and what not to stop. And sometimes you influence that with your mind. And then I want to say something that Mr. Augustine made mention of, night cuts, PowerPoint presentations. Before, presentations were just presentations. People come and hold their book, and some will have the temptation of reading through all this as a presentation to us. And then we evolved to using cardboard papers. And then today we have the PowerPoints. One thing that should be shocking, or is a bit pitiful, is that lights do go up, and that caught Sandrine. When she was about to present, light went over and I saw her looking at me, directly in the eye. So how do we salvage this situation? When you prepare your PowerPoints, you bring them out. When light goes up, it's not our fault. Sometimes I tell you that I'm even jealous of you because you're staying in the dormitory where you have a generator here. Out there it's worse. So when light goes off, you continue with the printed PowerPoint as if nothing happened. And if you have the mastery of your work in you, sometimes you don't even need the printed PowerPoint. I'm not saying that you cram, but when you do the work effectively, it becomes part of you. And then the other point I also noticed was collection and organization of data. This should start, you should start having an idea to this right from proposal writing. How are you going to collect your data? How are you going to tally it? How are you going to organize it? It is at that time that you will select the class intervals. And if at that time that you are doing proposal write-up, you do adequate literature review, you will see similar work and you see how data in that similar work is going to be organized. It is also at this point in time that I also say that in some of the classes I've made a joke that our study is an integration. Because many times it is here that I realized how important my maths lessons were. When the math teacher will enter class and write the integral sign on the board outside, but now I'm seeing that we're integrating everything in research. All the other aspects are involved. A bit of nursing is involved. A bit of psychology is involved. A bit of sociology is involved. Language power is involved. So everything is integrated. And I've written this sign in not less than 2 classes that you integrate from zero to everything. A bit of it is involved. The good aspects of life, not the bad ones, because when I say everything, it therefore means that some people will integrate lies into it. Those ones are to be sorted out. So in that case, we differentiate also. So it's all integration and differentiation. So collection of data, collection and organization of data, you start thinking of how to handle that from proposal writing. Then many of you also tell us that the time was too short. For how long do you want to carry out research?
October to May.
October to May. Good. What are the others saying? You support him. What are the RN students saying? Do you have similar problems? That the time was short?
3 months.
3 months. Anyway, what I want to say is that your training is the way it is. It's normal. It's not abnormal. You move from the wards to the class, back to the wards, and you even don't have time to cook. Because a medical personnel is one who has no time for himself. You spend time caring for others. You stand on the patient in the ward for 8 hours, and you close 2 hours late. You are not taking your lunch and you're called for emergency and you have to go. For which if you say no, the client dies. And to your greatest dismay, this may be your cousin. It's just part of the training. You have to synchronize all of this and plan your work well. And even the short time that you think that is short is going to be very long. You plan your work very well. And then also, anyway, there's this point I'll skip out. Tolerate any misreference. There are 3 methods in your notes: Harvard, Vancouver, and APA. Here we recommend APA. If you want to know more about APA, go to the net, www.apa.com. Thank you for listening.
Remark from our director, Uncle Doris.
It's still morning also. Good afternoon. Okay. It's midday. I wish to thank you for the wonderful presentation. And when Mr. Fred was talking and asking for how long the research should be, you people was taking that you start from October. Except you are not a student. You started your research the day you came in. This talk of integration, that is when you started your research. There is no time that they will say this is time for research. It's just like giving you, relaxing you so that you can be able to put the things you have gathered together. So there is nothing like a time for research is short. If you are in the school, you know that this is your program. Start your research the day you enter into the school. There is a way of doing things. If you are in an environment, you have to learn. If you take somebody, even an adult like me, and deprive him of human being and take him and go and put with animals, in 5 years, I will be an animal. It is the same thing like if you leave your home and you want to become a healthcare personnel, in 3 years you should be a healthcare personnel. You have to adapt and integrate yourself. What I want to say here is to emphasize about our Francophone students or French-speaking students. I'm very much impressed with the way they did their presentation. And this justifies, most of the time I've gone to the ministry, and the guys who are working in the ministries are always like, I will make sure my cousin come to Shison. I will make sure this person will come to Shison. When they come out from Shison, they are complete Cameroonians. We should use this advantage, especially us the Anglophones. If we cannot go to Yaoundé or to Bafoussam or Douala and learn French, let's use our brothers and sisters who are here and learn French. Instead of forcing them to start Abeni, go with them and see how much you can learn in French. I think the time that the Francophones started coming to this school, my French has really increased or improved. But if I speak it and you know what I'm calling improved, then you will know what it was before. So it is every time you have an encounter, it's an opportunity for you to learn. And that's how I've learned. I do anything I come across. It's always an opportunity. There's no pride in anything. So your presentations were excellent, and I hope you carry this image ahead. When I say it was excellent, it's not like there were no loopholes like Mr. Fred has explained, and Sister Lilian just recommended. That is good. We really introduced proper French and proper English teaching in the school. Yesterday, Mr. Elvis made an announcement about those who were escaping French in Labuan. Is Labuan also? Yes. The list will be out, or you have put it over to the, yes. The list will be out, and I already promise you the consequences on that list. It will not fail. And from now, we have been so lenient with our students, allowing them to be very, very free and doing what they want to do. It is because we want you to be mature and know what is right and what is wrong. But since you don't want to be mature, we'll make you mature on the other side. So please, all of you, when you go back, when you were admitted here, you were given the student handbook. Go and read that handbook again. It is not a joke. Read it over and over, because we will collide somewhere. And it is only that student handbook that will justify our relationship. Please, take care of yourselves. You are here to study. This environment is created the conducive facilities to help you. Go to other schools, you will not see television there like that. the conference in the years to come. So, use the opportunity to learn. Those of you having laptops are connected to wireless internet with no problem in this campus. Even in the ministry, I went there in the ministry, they did not have internet in the Ministry of Public Health. But we have it here. So we can use this opportunity and be better people tomorrow. Nobody should complain here that I cannot, because I see the way you people are using computers here. I'm so happy, because the world is becoming computerized. When computers was introduced in the developed countries, the elderly people resisted. They don't want to put their accounts on computer. They don't want this. But finally, they saw that they can never operate in such settings without the computer. So they were forced at the old age to learn computer. So please, don't relent your effort. Then your attitude towards presentation, which I don't want it to repeat with the SRL Therese, who will be presenting next, is when somebody asks you a question and say, thank you for your question. If somebody asks a question, answer the question. No comment. He has asked, why are you thanking him for the question? So just go straight to the answer of the question. Is that okay? Yes. I don't think I have any other thing to be boring you with.
The lab 3 students that have their practical evaluation for the end of the year, not certification, end of year practicals on Monday and Tuesday. So come prepared for it next week, Monday and Tuesday. The lab 2, they have their community experience presentation on Friday this week. Thank you all for your patience. Thank you all for participating.
Yes, just a comment about the practical validations. It is not, don't mind that you have presented until that day comes that you are in the room there to write your final exams. It is not yet true. Over. So they will tell you you have practicals on Monday. At 12 o'clock, you are still in your house. They will give you a 0, and that 0 will eliminate you. All this sweat, all this work you have done will go for nothing. Mr. Cho told you, I was a student like you, and I had a colleague student who had never been in school. During our time, if you had 30 days throughout their training, 30 days of absence throughout their training, you are not qualified for the certification exam. And they will always bring that when they are coming with the list for the certification exams, and it happened. We sympathized with her, but the examiner was pushing us into the hall, and she was rolling on the ground there alone. We could not go back. Go back now, and then you join her in there. So it is an individual. It is not a group. Your friends will be sympathizing with you, writing their certification exam and looking at you through the window, and you are crying. That will be the end of it. So please, when you are looking for something, spend time and look for it. That was just to remind you, because I know some people after presenting like this, they say to her, they schedule you for exams, you come at the time you want. And then you come and call the teacher, can you not come and give my exam now? If I get that from anybody in this school again, commanding a teacher in this school, we will know where to end. It has happened. There are students who have come and said, come and
Before you do that.
Thank you, my Lord. We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. For your goodness, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. We are saying Thank you, my Lord, for your blessings. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. Yes, Lord, we say thank you for your blessings. Thank you for the courage you granted us to go through this presentation successfully. Father, Lord, we want to pray and commit all our activities of today into their hands. Guide and protect us, O Lord, as we do this. Bless us throughout this day, so that everything we do today will be to the glory of your name. For all this we ask through Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord. Amen. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit. As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Saint Francis of Assisi, pray for us. Father, and Son, and Holy Spirit.
Matthew, we have business on Friday, so prepare.
Merci mon superviseur, Sister Lilian Limougache, la personne qui a travaillé avec moi tout au long de l'année, je peux dire. Elle n'est pas seulement mon superviseur, elle est comme une maman pour moi. Oui, elle est comme une maman pour moi. Si elle n'était pas là, moi je ne pouvais pas faire ce livre-ci. Oui, elle est comme une maman.
Je me sens trop flattée. Because actually, like a good number of the students say, they say I behave to them like a mother, which I think as a religious, that's what I'm called to do, to be spiritual mothers to these people, and that's just what I'm trying to do. So I do appreciate the compliments very much.
Parce que hier, quand je faisais un truc comme ça, celle-ci me dit que tu fais quoi comme ça? Après, comment ça tape?
Quand tu finis, me dis tu go. Ok. Ok, malade. Comment est-ce?
This is the director of this institution, I mean the Kali School of Health Sciences, and he's just like a father to me. Yeah.
Okay. So to the director, we wish if you could answer some questions from us about the institution.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So we wish to find out when was the institution created.
This institution was created in 1954.
Yeah. Okay. Which promotion in number is the outgoing batch?
They are the state registered laboratory. They are the fifth batch. They are the fifth batch because the laboratory technician course was instituted in 2004.
So we wish also to know what factor is responsible for the increase of the number of students this year compared to the past year.
Yes, we recognize that healthcare is becoming very demanding, and everybody is trying to see how to meet up, especially the government. So the government is increasing the number of students is taking to the various schools in training. And this school is one of the best schools in the country. So they are able to send us as many students as possible. You can even recognize that you have a lot of French-speaking students here, and that was not the case before, which means that we are really expanding and embracing everybody in the country.
Okay. What impression do you have about the Raimatou presentation?
Yeah, the first thing is that I want to say Raimatou presented a very brilliant presentation. I already made the comment after her presentation in the hall, because she spoke in English as if she was brought up in English. So that was a very big boost for her. And two, the topic she chose was a very good topic, because many people have problems with pain and so on. So they go by the roadside and buy Panadol, aspirin, Indosid, ibuprofen, which is not the solution to their problem. Their problem can be solved only if they pass through Raimatou's idea. They will have a solution for the problem.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for answering the question.
Thank you very much, and wish you the best, and especially Raimatou. Okay. I wish her the best.
Yes.
And Abubakar.
Yes, I think I will do more than her.
Okay, that is good. I'm happy about that.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
Okay.
The Chang, my biochemistry teacher. Then this Sister Lillian, my immunology, parasitology teacher. Then Mr. Ngwanyu Wilfred, my hematology teacher. Yeah. Then this Mr. Elvis Chem Zelamonius, my microbiology teacher. This is the person who took me to 2012, from 2009 to 2012. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, I wish to thank God for the gift of life, the gift of health, good health, throughout my study. He has guided me throughout this study. My parents, I wish to thank my parents, Mr. Mboutngam Sedu and Madam Z Asana, for their moral, physical, financial support throughout this my study. And I wish to thank God too for the presentation today, because I know it really passed well, and I know I'm going to do more after this 3-year study. And I wish also to thank my family members, especially Mr. Fogam Mama in Yaoundé, who really helped me to choose this branch of study in medicine. I wish to thank all my junior ones. I wish to, especially my Bakari in Chang. I wish to thank my elder sisters, Mboutngam Awamishu, Ladifatu, Mboutngam Ladifatu, Bakari, Aminetou, Rabiatou. In fact, all my family members, I wish to thank all of them for their support. Thank you. How do you feel after this presentation?
Okay.
Since you are still in year 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel? Can you tell us what you feel after this presentation?
Okay. I'm feeling so proud, very happy after this presentation, because you did more than what I was expecting you to do. So I'm very, very happy, and knowing that the effort that you did to attain this level, I think I will do as same as you did to be in your level by year 3. Yes.
Are you still in school?
Are you already preparing your mind to defend in 2014?
Yes, I've started preparing my mind since I came to this school, because I came here, it was not easy, but the way that I'm improving and learning, I know that by 2014 that I will be defending. It will be very, very, very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you too.
Thank you, my Lord. We are saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord, for your goodness. guide and protect us, O Lord, as we do this. Bless us throughout this day, so that everything we do today may be to the glory of your name. For all this we ask through Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord. Amen. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end.
Saint Francis of Assisi,
Pray for us.